In this video, you will learn why data is so important and why you should want to learn SQL. And keep watching until the end if you want to learn how to write the simple SQL query. So as I mentioned, I will talk today about the data and its importance. As you can see in this picture, we have previous year statistics. For example, if we go to Instagram user post, we have almost 278,000 stories. YouTube watch 4.5 million videos, and so on. So you can see that like every minute of the day there are a lot of data gathered in all these platforms. It doesn't matter which ones you can see here. All this data is collected and you have to store it somewhere. And what else if not databases? So nowadays there are different types of databases. For example, it can be stored in the cloud, it can be stored in some physical server, and so on. And why do you need it? So it depends on what kind of data you have. For example, if you are the owner of e-stores, so you have a lot of data of your customers, of the purchases of your products, so everything can be stored in the database and used for the analytical purposes. And what data can be stored is like whatever you have. It doesn't matter if you have the name of the person who purchased something from you, do you have the age of this person, or whatever information you have, it can be stored in the databases and can be used for the reports or some statistical analysis. And there are a lot of different databases. As you can see in this slide, I showed you some name of this, and of course one of the database, if you can call it, is Excel. I think it's the most usual for almost everyone, and in my work I'm using some of them. For example, HP Vertica, Hadoop, Redshift, SQL Query, MongoDB, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and of course Excel, and one of them is SharePoint and even OneDrive. Everything can be reached by writing SQL queries, but some syntax depends on the database type. For example, if you have SQL Server, you will be writing TSQL. If you have MySQL Server, you will be writing MySQL queries. The main syntax is the same, but we have some few differences on commenting or some functions. For example, if you want to have top 5 rows from SQL query, you will write top in parentheses 5, but if you want to have the same result from MySQL database, you will be writing limit 5. So some few differences. And of course everything can be illustrated by the example. So the database is contained with various tables, and these tables are called related tables because they have the relations with one or more other tables. So for example, we have here the table with ID, name, surname, age, and city ID. And as you can see, it's the perfect example of a table, and all these tables should have some known number of columns but a known number of rows. So for example, it can be 1, 2, 3 or even 0 rows in one table. And every table also has a key, the unique one, which can help they identify the exact row. So for example, in this table ID1 can identify exactly the first row with Žymantas Kazakevičius, and he's there 30 and lives in the city, which ID is 6. And generally, each table represents one entity type. For example, here you have some customer data, it can be, or employee data, and also it can be a product data. So everything related to this person or product can be found in this table, for example. And the column would represent one thing about the subject, for example, the name or the surname, and the row, as I said before, it will have some exact information about this person or product again. And now I will show you how the relations between tables can be displayed. So for example, in this slide, I had the albums column, artist, and genre. And this view can be called the database schema. And these tables are connected through the keys or some other columns. So for example, in the genre column, I have genre ID key, and you see the key icon next to it. And we have albums table, which also have the genre ID, and these tables are connected with this column. And then we have the artist table, and it has artist ID, and again albums table also has artist ID, and like this these tables are connected too. So now you know how the database can look like, how the tables can look like, and what they have in them. And before showing the SQL query structure, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel, comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for next videos, and share it with a friend if you think that it's useful. So if you want to extract some information from the table, we can write the SQL query as it's shown in the slide. So for example, here I have few options how to write the query. One of them is when we have multiple databases in the server, and another one when we have only one database. First, I write the select word, and then I write all the columns that I want to have in my result. Then I have to write from and mention the database name, write a dot and write the table name. And these columns comes from this table. And then if I want to order my result, for example, by one or more of columns, I have to write them down here also. And on the right, I wrote you which SQL statements are necessary. For example, select them from, they are necessary ones, and you have to write them every time you write a SQL query, but the order by and some other statements are not necessary. So you write them if you want to use it or not. And the second example differs from the first only by from part, where you're not writing the database name because you have only one in the server. Now again, going to the example. For example, here I will have the data stored in the table city. So I have the ID, unique one, full name, and the city where the person is from. And I would like to know the full name of the employee, for example, and where he lives. And I would like to sort everything by the city. So if I write the select, I will, as I said, I have to define the table name from which I would like to have this data. So I write city dot and the name of the column which I want to have. So here I want to have full name, and again I would like to have the city. From statement shows me from which table I should pick these columns, and order by how to sort the result. And my result that I didn't mention before is a table also. So here I have everything what I put in the select statement. So I had the full name and the city. So now you can see some difference between city and the result table, and here you have the everything sorted only by the city column, and the sort is ascending, and if you choose the ascending you won't need to write anything in the order by statement. But if you would like to sort by descending, so you have to write order by city.city and DESC, like for descending. And that's it. It's simple like that, and I hope everything was useful. And again, if you would like to see more videos, please subscribe and press the notification bell to be notified for my new videos. And if you want to see something from the Power BI side, please see the video which is somewhere next to me.